And here we are again. Welcome, if you will, to Perspectives. It's good to have you with us. We have some interesting folks lined up today, not the least of which is our first guest, and it's Brian Lee Whisenhunt.
Whisenhunt, yes.
I got it, yes! All right, the executive director of the Gilcrease Museum, and rather new, aren't you?
Yes, I started in April, so it's just been a few months.
Came to us by way of Corning, New York?
Yes, before I came to Gilcrease, I was at the Rockwell Museum in Corning, New York, which is a Smithsonian affiliate and has very strong American collection in the same way that Gilcrease does, but not quite as large.
You know, we have a lot of American Indian artists who have made the big time, and I'm sure you know the background of most of them.
Many. That
we have in the Gilcrease. It goes without saying that we are really proud of the Gilcrease in this part of the country. Have you had a chance to acclimate yourself to everything that's over there?
Well, right now it's been a little challenging because of the construction project. So much of the collection is in storage. So I'm kind of limited in exploring the collection through our digital collections online, which is something that's available to anyone. You know, the Gilcrease collection is immense, over 350,000 objects.
Oh, I know, it's just huge.
And we have about 10% of that available online, including paintings, historic documents from the archives, photography, sculpture, Native American art. And there's a lot of different ways you can explore searching on your own if there's an artist that you're interested in, or they've also created some albums, some groups where you can look at women artists from the collection. So it's a really great way to get to know Gilcrease collection. That's kind of what I'm doing right now since we're mostly in storage. But I grew up going to Gilcrease as a resident of Tulsa, so it's one of my childhood museums. So I know the collection mostly from hindsight, from my mind's eye growing up here in Tulsa.
Don't you have an Allen Hauser sculpture out front?
We do, the Sacred Rain Arrow, which historically was at the entrance of Gilcrease in our previous building, and it'll be returned to that position, although the building's situated a little differently. It's a little further back than the previous structure. It will still greet visitors as they come to the Gilcrease and enter the museum when we open in 2026.
You know, there was a bit of a scandal that broke about 8 years ago, and I recall it had to do with Russells and Remingtons because there were fakes out there of bronzes, and somebody caught it because of the feet of the riders. One of them, I think, had their feet, one foot was backwards. And when that story broke, boy, everybody went to the Gilcrease to, well, let's see them. So I remember that well. What's the biggest challenge facing you right now?
Well, right now we're really focused on the opening of the museum, which is a couple of years away. And so there's really the sequence of events and activities. So early next year, the building will be complete and we'll gain access to it. And then we begin the task of moving that collection of over 350,000 objects back into the building into collection storage. Once that is done, then we'll begin to install the galleries and permanent exhibitions, which are really a little different than what visitors saw before when they came to Gilcrease, and get ready for opening events probably mid-year in 2026 with some soft openings and donor events, and then open to the public later that year.
There are a lot of folks that don't realize that things have been shut down with this rebuilding period.
Yes. We've been dark as far as the building, but we've still maintained a lot of activity in the community. We have Gilcrease in Your Neighborhood, which is a program we've been doing for a couple of years, and we just installed the latest iteration of that. It's in 5 parks around the city of Tulsa, and it's a photograph from our Eddie Faye Gates collection, which is the historic photographs and other elements that were collected by Eddie Faye Gates by survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre. It's a really beautiful photograph of one of her relatives seated in a landscape by a body of water. And we don't know a lot about the site, but we know a little bit about her cousin. And so it's a really great way to explore the Gilcrease collection. If you're out at the park, there's a family guide you can pick up and other activities that you can do. So even though we've been dark for a couple of years, we've done a lot and we are doing a lot. We've got family workshops this fall, a special screening of a film at Circle Cinema in a couple of weeks. So we really tried to maintain engagement and activity with the community, even though you can't visit the museum except virtually.
Well, put us on your mailing list, man, because I got to tell you, there is so much to it. And you guys have done so much, unlike some museums who just say, here, I see it, come on. You guys have made an effort to take the art to the people.
We have tried.
and it's worked.
Good. Glad
It's
to hear
worked.
that.
I have a daughter who is working in New York right now and said that she came across some pieces. I think, I won't even try to remember the name of the museum, which one it is, but she said, Dad, I can almost swear I saw this at the Gilcrease.
Probably. It's an amazing collection that represents 12,000 years of history of the Americas. I think a lot of people think of the Gilcrease collection as being a Western collection, and that's very much one of the elements, but there's so much more to it as far as in the archives, in the Native American collection, and the archaeological collection. There's so much that connects the stories of the Americas across North and South America, beyond the divisions that we understand and have been established in our current time period.
One of the crown jewels of the museum has always been its allure. I know for a fact that over the years there have been a number of celebrities, if you will, who very quietly came, saw, conquered, and left, and then ended up donating something to the museum. So it's grown richly.
It has.
Do you buy or do you trade? How do you get these wonderful pieces?
Well, I think one of the challenges with the Gilcrease collection is its size. It's something that we struggle with as far as the care for it, the housing of it, and that was one of the inspirations for this new building, so that we have a facility that takes care of this collection as it deserves to be. And so, with a collection of this scale, of this nature, of this status, we have to be very mindful and considerate of what we add to it. So we have made a few acquisitions over the last couple of years, thinking about reopening, looking at some contemporary Native American artists and some of the ideas and elements that they're dealing with in their practice and the work that they produce and how they connect across time to the history of Native American people in North America. So those are some of the kind of very judicious selections we've made. As we move forward, we're going to be working on a collection development plan, and that will really look at the strengths of the collection, what needs to be added, what stories, what perspectives are not present that could be added to the Gilcrease collection that would broaden what we're able to do, how we're able to connect with our communities and our visitors, and really show the breadth of perspectives that make up the American experience, the American story, as is represented at the museum.
We're quickly running out of time, and I'm so sorry to have to tell you that, but I got to ask you quickly.
Sure.
How has the program worked where you've gone into the schools with works of art for the kids to see very young?
We've continued to do that. We are part of the Any Given Child program that's done in Tulsa Public Schools, and we also do considerable other outreach programs in the communities. So it's something we'll continue to do, and we really are looking to the public schools and the teachers, the educators, and the parents to help us determine how we can best serve and support their needs. We want to be very responsive, especially for educators, for young learners, to the needs that they have and how we can really add to what's available to them in the classroom and in the schools and bring additional resources, education, and experiences to them.
I know every classroom has a class clown. But it's an amazing thing to me that over the years when I've gone to the Gilcrease and there have been tours of young children, how they get quiet. Because they know they're in a special place.
It is a special place, and it is a special experience. And as someone who grew up going to Gilcrease on tours and with my family, it's very important to me that that continues. It's very important to me that those experiences continue to evolve and meet the expectations of audiences today. We can't do the same things that we were doing when I was a kid. We have to meet people where they are currently through technology, through experiences, through educations that support their learning and the development.
One more quickie. You have referred to Tulsa as a place you used to live.
Yes.
How long ago?
I left Tulsa about 30 years ago, so I'm a fourth generation Okie. My grandparents moved to Tulsa during World War II to build planes for the war effort for J. Paul Getty. So my father grew up here and I grew up here. My family's mostly in Pontotoc County in the Ada area, but Oklahoma is very near and dear to my heart, and it was hard to leave, and I'm glad they asked me back.
Well, welcome home, buddy. Brian, thank you, and don't forget.
You're welcome.
Keep us on your mailing list.
Absolutely.
You're a good man. I don't care what anybody says. We're going to break now, take a short break. We'll be back with more right after this. And we're back. I feel like I ought to come out here and try to do an Andy Williams, impersonation, except I can't sing, and do the Days of Wine and Roses. And that's because of, well, you'll meet her right now, Briana Hefley Shepherd. Good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we're talking about a big to-do for the garden club at Woodward Park.
Yeah, so we have our biggest fundraiser is coming up Friday, September 27th, called Wine and Roses.
There it is. See?
I can't sing either, so I can't help you there.
That. But go ahead, please.
So it's an upscale garden party in the Arboretum as the sun sets, so you're surrounded by the canopy of the trees. There's restaurants, lots of fancy drinks, and your ticket gets you access to all of that, so you just walk around and enjoy. And
oh, well, not a problem. Yeah. One of the things I noticed, imaginative cocktails. Mm-hmm. Really?
Yes.
I'm in. Count me in. It's an interesting concept, because I have to lay this out in front of the folks at home, because as I go through Woodward Park, I'm struck by two things. One, the natural beauty, and two, the work that goes into preserving that beauty. Yeah. I mean, that's a 24/7 job.
Yeah, it's 45 acres, and it's our staff, our crew, so Tulsa Garden Center, and then the City of Tulsa Parks Department gardeners, and then we have several different plant societies that work in different beds there as well. So there's a lot of hands, a lot of care that goes into maintaining what we all get to appreciate.
They do a marvelous job.
Yeah, they do.
Let's talk a little bit about the Days of Wine and Roses get-together. Okay. What all is going to happen?
So you'll show up, there's complimentary valet parking. We'll have live music by Grady Nichols. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah, I know Grady.
So really great live performer with his full band. And then you just walk around and you enjoy. We're gonna have soft seating, really beautiful areas to just lounge and enjoy. We'll have a little cigar bar lounge. There's a wine pool, so you've got wine bottles wrapped up in brown sacks. You can't see what color wine, what type of wine, and you pay one price and you may get a wine that's $100 value that you're getting for a fraction of that cost, and all that money goes back into the park. There's a raffle as well.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, lots of things to do. It goes by fast because it's such an eventful evening.
I can't believe we've gotten this far in, and I haven't even asked you, what do you do?
Oh, great question.
I mean, I'm here talking to this lady, and she's giving me all this information. I don't know what you do over there.
Well, I'm certainly not a horticulturalist. I'm the director of marketing and communications.
Got it.
So I get to talk to a lot of people like you and walk around the park and take pictures, and which is one of the most beautiful parts of my job. And go speak to different groups and help promote our events and classes that we have coming up. So.
Well, now correct me if I'm wrong here, but aren't you open 24/7? Not 24/7, but 7 days a week?
The park is, yes.
Yes.
The park's open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Now the buildings have varying hours. So the mansion, I'm going to give you a lot of different hours. The mansion is open Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 4. The teaching garden is open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 4. And the conservatory is open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 3:30. We just switched to fall hours, so that's why it takes me a minute to recall that. And Saturday, Sunday, oh goodness.
Oh, forget it.
Okay, it's around the same as the weekday hours.
Call ahead. I can't tell you how many times I've gone by. We've been in the park a lot to take pictures, but I can't tell you how many times I've gone by and I've seen young brides in wedding dresses, and the pictures they've just got to be breathtaking when they come out. Can people just go in and do that, or do they need to call ahead and reserve a time?
Yeah, great question. If you're wanting to come inside with one of the facilities, you do need to schedule that ahead of time. But if you're just coming to take pictures in the park, You can just buy an outdoor photography permit and do that anytime that you want. But if you're using one of our indoor facilities or the teaching garden, you do need to schedule that.
Do you have a guide program available? Someone to say, well, hey, I'm from someone who's not familiar with it.
Yeah, we have
can walk you through
docents
and talk
who
with
are
you.
wonderful, and the docents headquarter out of the teaching garden. And so they can do some informal tours. If you have a large group coming, you can reach out to us beforehand and we can see if we can do a more formal
Always
tour for
call
you.
ahead.
I'm a big fan of the call ahead.
Keep it alert. Let's talk some more about the Wine and Roses event, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
because I think this is a worthwhile get together. I think anything we can do to enhance the budget, these things don't run themselves.
Yeah.
And it takes folks like you who get out and spread the word. Is this event adults only?
Great question. 21 and up. So yes, yeah.
So you can't have a 10-year-old saying, I want to try that. Give me a sip of that, Daddy.
No, not at this event. Yeah, this is an adult only.
It's not your
event.
first one either, is it?
Oh no, we started this in 1995. So that's the year I started driving. I know, I was putting those numbers together the
Wow.
other day. So I think that's almost 30 years, 29 years, right? And the Arboretum was established in 1964.
Really?
So this is its 60th year. So we're celebrating 60 years of the Arboretum at this Wine and Roses.
The history of the building itself,
Of the Arboretum, so the tree museum, if you will.
is breathtaking.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have any kind of a publication, a book, or anything on the history?
Yeah, so I made an informational graphic that has the timeline of all of the buildings and all of the land and the families that have lived on the land and the key players since the park began, actually before the park even began.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I can guarantee you without looking at it that it was that women played a major role.
Very much so, yes.
Because the way it happened, the men came here for the oil. The women said, wait a minute, we need a little culture. And they got it.
Yeah. I mean, from the very beginning of the story of the land, it goes back to women. Helen Woodward, this was her allotment, her creek allotment. She was a young girl when this was made into the land was sold and turned into a city park. And then the matriarchs of the mansion were key players throughout its history. So yeah, the women definitely made a huge difference in the history.
I want to thank you for coming by.
Thanks
I want to
for
thank you
having
for
me.
allowing us to toot the horn for you, if you don't mind my using an old expression. And we'd like to have you back again. I'd like to know how this went and what we can do to help for next year.
Well, thanks for having me, and I hope you're able to come to the event.
I hope I'm around to do it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
We'll take another short break and come back with one more segment right after this. Robert Schornick is the superintendent of Catoosa Public Schools, and he's our third guest today. Good to have you, my friend.
My pleasure. I'm
I
glad
want
to be
talk
here.
to you a few minutes and I instantly like you.
Well, thank you.
How are the schools in Catoosa?
So right now, it's an exciting time at Catoosa Public Schools. Matter of fact, 4 weeks ago, we opened up probably one of the largest elementary schools in Northeast Oklahoma. It's a little bit over 100,000 square feet. It's a brand new, gorgeous, phenomenal facility that has great teaching and learning space. And that was a big moment for Catoosa. There was a lot of trials that we had to go through to get bond issues passed, and
But you did it.
but we did it. We did it, and we celebrated that opening 4 weeks ago. And of course, all of our teachers have moved in. It's an elementary school that houses pre-K through third right now, but we're going to add on an additional wing for our 4th and 5th grade. So this time next year, when I'm coming back to talk to you, Sam, we'll have pre-K through 5 at our brand new elementary school.
That's incredible. You know, I got to tell you, it seems as though, and this gives me a chance to say something publicly that needs to be said about education. I feel like the politicians of our country are using teachers and principals and superintendents is whipping children to get reelected. And I don't think it's fair.
Well, you and I had this brief conversation prior to this interview, and I'm just, for me, it's I can summarize it into one phrase. It's just they're zapping all of the fun out of it. We truly just want to show up and care for kids. We want to support our teachers. We want to value our community. We want to wrap our arms around those kids that experience those traumatic experiences, but also celebrate some of the wins. And it just seems like every single day we are constantly having to comply with some type of new State Department rule or regulation. We're having to comply with some type of new piece of legislation, and it's taking all the fun out of it.
Well, with all due respect to you and to your wonderful teachers, I gotta tell you, I think what's happening in this country is so unfair to education and the people involved in it, yourself included. I don't understand why they think educators are weak people, but that seems to be the attitude they want to shove down our throats as voters. And you're not. The strength, and we were talking about this before we started taping, the strength, I think, comes from recognizing when a child goes from listening intently to going, oh, I understand
It's
that.
that light bulb moment.
Yeah, it's just like you can see it.
Right.
I had aunts that were teachers, and they even then knew.
And so that magic, it happens in the classroom every single day.
Yeah.
And I think that you recognize that. Most people do recognize and they do acknowledge the fact that for that true transformation to take place, it happens with that classroom teacher. And so we're blessed to have very passionate, driven teachers at Catoosa. And for us, when we step into a classroom, you see that magic, you see that light bulb come on. And that's that aha moment for the day, if you will. And so I try my very best to kind of funnel out or filter out some of the minutia and some of the noise that's coming down from whether it be, the political realm or the State Department realm, and just making sure that I show up every single day and provide that necessary support for our folks. Because that's what they're looking for, Sam, more than anything else.
I'm not going to try to draw you into a political discourse.
Right.
I don't want to put you on the spot. God knows you have enough spots that they put on you.
I do make a lot of decisions every day. I'm not going to lie to you.
A lot of times, my wife and I were watching local news the other night, and I was struck by the fact of here we go again. They're after education, and it's not a matter of let's improve education. It's a matter of I need to use education as a springboard to this office.
Right. You're spot on. And so for us, I think sometimes they miss the boat. And let me explain a little bit more. Some of our kids are not a test score, and I think that you recognize that and you see that and you've acknowledged that. They are not a test score. Some of our kids are simply showing up every single day because they need that caring adult. They come from a very traumatic experience. And so for us personally, it's like the challenge or the mission for us is to make sure that we provide that necessary support for them to be successful, whether it be academically, athletically, activity-wise, maybe in the arts, maybe some type of career path or career opportunity. That is our main goal. It's not a test score. It's truly not that test score that we're looking for. Now, are we judged? Are we evaluated? Are we, again, just evaluated on test scores? We are, Sam. But for us, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel for us is, what are they going to do when they graduate Catoosa High School? Is it that college path? Is it that career path? Is it that military path? Did we provide the opportunities as a school district to our kids to explore and to get to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty, if you will, in regards to something that they're passionate and they're hungry about?
And you're trying to do that.
That
and
is
you're
our
trying
goal.
to do that in light of political discourse that does absolutely no good. None
Exactly.
whatsoever. Hey, we're out of time. Will you come back?
Absolutely. Anytime.
I'd love to have you back.
Anytime.
In fact, I'd love to come down and go through the new facility.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to take you up on that.
Please come by anytime.
Thank you very much for taking time to visit with us.
Thank you.
We're all out of time. Thank you for being a part of it, and we'll see you back here next week.